Hello and welcome to our day 3 H01 session where we are going to continue working on cameras in Unreal Engine, and the topic we are going to discuss here is about the camera sensors. Now when we actually add cameras into Unreal Engine, we can actually simulate the real camera. Say for example, the camera that you add might be a Canon EOS camera, or it can be a RED camera, or it can be an Alexa Ariflex camera or a Blackmagic camera. So you can precisely place the same camera and you can simulate the shots. And for this, now first you have to understand what is the difference between the cinematic camera, that is like Ariflex or RED, and an iPhone 16 Pro camera. The basic difference comes in the sensor size. For example, if you take smartphone, its size will be approximately, this size is measured as the diagonal length, it will be around 1 by 2.55 inches, and it is a CMOS sensor, and if you take the width and height, it will be approximately 5.76 inches into 4.29 inches. Now there is another type of sensors available called as MFTs used in some cameras. It is called as micro four thirds, and in this you will have the sensor size of 17.3 mm into 13 mm. Then you have APS-C DSLR cameras, and the sensor type is called as the APS-C sensors, and in this the sensor size will be around 23.6 mm into 15.6 mm. And you have full frame DSLR cameras, and it will mimic exactly the 35 mm full frame cameras, and its size will be 36 mm in width into 24 mm in height. And then you have Super 35 cinema camera, and the Super 35 cinema camera will have the width of 24.9 mm and height of 14 mm. Then you have the Alexa and RED cameras, and all this has a size of around 36.7 mm into 25.5 mm sensors. When the sensors are bigger, if you use a bigger sensor, it gathers more light and it gives you a cinematic shallow depth of field. Smaller sensors tend to keep everything in focus. It is great for mobile or documentary shootage and other things, but in some cases where you need that lesser depth or you need the background, we call it as the bokeh effect, then we prefer to use the cinematic camera. Now the next point I want to mention here is about the aspect ratio and resolutions. The aspect ratio is the width divided by the height of the image. It defines how your story feels visually, and let's look at some standards used in film, TV and also in Unreal projects. For example, in the old 35 mm cinema and all the old TVs that we were using, the tube TVs, all those used to have an aspect ratio of 4:3, means 4 times the width, 3 times the height. And the standard resolution usually would be 720 into 576 in broadcast, and in other cameras we used to get it at a resolution of 1440 into 1080. Then came the HD televisions. Most of the TV that we purchase today is called as a 2K full HD TV, and all these TVs will have an aspect ratio of 16:9, means the width will be 16 times and the height will be 9 times. To give you an example, the most popular format in this is 1920 into 1080, and we call it as full HD. Then you also have the standard theatrical widescreen, which is in 2K, and this ratio will be 1.85:1, and its size will be around 2048 into 1107. For Netflix series and most of the modern theaters, they make use of an aspect ratio of 2:1, and the size of the screen will be 2048 into 1024. Now here one thing you have to remember is in the aspect ratio, if the width to height ratio is equal, if it is 1:1, we call it as a square frame. For example, whenever we make videos for social media like Instagram, we use this frame. Most of the Instagram videos and Instagram photos, it is called as a square photograph, which will be 1:1. Now basically when we see the visuals in our eye normally our horizontal view is very large. See, we have 160 to 180 degree coverage of picture that we can see horizontally, but vertically our view is limited, meaning we can have a wide view, and in this wide view if we are seeing cinema in a very small portion, you will not have that immersive experience. So that's why in cinema we tend to increase the width of the cinema. There is a system called as Cinemascope, and in Cinemascope ratio will be 2.35:1 and size will be 2045 in width and 871 in height. Now you have another type of cameras which are called as anamorphic camera. What is this anamorphic camera is, see, instead of shooting the film in a wide sensor, what we do is we use the regular 4:3 or 16:9 sensor, and we use a kind of a lens which is going to squeeze the picture horizontally. So when we do the shooting, the picture will be squeezed horizontally. In the theater, they use the opposite anamorphic lens which is going to pull that film horizontally. And in anamorphic cinema, the ratio will be 2.39:1 and the resolution will be horizontally it will be 4096 and vertically it will be 1716. We call it as DCI 4K scope. And similarly for social media, as I already told, we use a 1:1 resolution. It will be usually 1080 into 1080. Knowing this aspect, let us now jump into Unreal Engine. Now for today class, actually we are going to continue from our previous session, that is the day 2 session, but if you doesn't have those files, actually I have posted that file and provided the link in the description. So if you come in your YouTube video or in the description, there is a Patreon link here. So if you click on this link, this link will open the Patreon page, and if you scroll down, you have this attachment and you have one file, broadcast studio with camera.zip. Click on this and download it onto your machine. Now once it is downloaded, copy it to your Unreal_projects folder. That is, in whichever place you have placed all your Unreal projects. So there you just paste it and then right click and click on extract all to extract all the files. Now once the file is extracted, you have this folder and inside this you have this broadcast studio.u project file. So now let us start our Epic Games launcher or the Unreal Engine. Come into Unreal Engine library, and now you can see this broadcast studio with camera file, and this is in version 5.6. Remember, you have to open this with the 5.6 version. So now I am just going to double click and launch it. Okay, now once you launch it, we have now opened our My Studio with cameras level. It opens with this level, and if it is not open, you can come to content drawer, My Levels, and double click here and open it. Now first I will save this as a new level. So for that I will come into File, Save Current Level As, and in Content and in My Levels folder, I will give it the name as My Studio _ camera settings, and I am going to click on the Save button. Now once it is saved, again you can see the lighting has changed because we have to rebuild our light again whenever we save this level. So I am going to build and click on build all levels. Okay, now the build is done. You can click on show message log, and there is one error. You need not worry about it. This is due to some bug that we have in this Unreal 5.6. So I will just close this, and now the scene is built. Now I will come into the outliner and in the setting I will choose collapse all and then I will open it, and in the camera as of now you are seeing only 2 cameras. We had added the 3 cameras and the third camera we added it through our sequencer. So to open the or get the third camera here we have to open the sequencer. So I will come into content drawer and in content sequences we have a sequence here, my first sequence. So I am going to double click to open it, or you can even come here in the setting and you can choose my first sequence. It takes some time, and once it is open you can see that I have my third camera also available here. So I have the 3 cameras here. When we have added the camera, there are 2 types of cameras that are available in Unreal. In our previous session what we did was we added this Cine Camera _ left by going into perspective, and in create camera we used Camera Actor. If you use Cine Camera Actor you will get the other icon with 2 reels up, where 2 reels can be seen on the top in the icon. So now as of now I will come back to Cine Camera _ center and you can see its preview here. Now what I will do is I will come into this perspective and I will select Cine Camera Center to see it in my regular view. Select the Cine Camera Center, and to set the sensor or the type of camera I am going to come into the details, and in the details the very first thing you have is transform, and below transform I open this current camera setting and you have first look at tracking setting. This we are going to use it later. Overscan I will leave it as it is, and the sensor is set using this control called as FilmBack. Now if I open the FilmBack you can now see here you can set the sensor width and the height. Say for example here I will manually change the width and I will show you the difference. See, if I decrease the width you can see that the width of my camera is becoming less. This is like vertical phone aspect ratio. So now the width is 9 and height is 16. Now if I increase the width here, see as I increase the width you can see my view angle is increasing. See, as I increase it this view is going to increase. Now how are we going to set this width to height ratio is actually in FilmBack. If you click on this drop down menu you have various cameras already provided here, and the default will be 16:9 digital film, and when you click on it the size is 23.76 mm into 13.365 mm. Now we can choose what kind of camera we want by setting the width and the height. So here say for example I want my center camera to be an Alexa Arri camera. Now how can I know what is the sensor width and height of different cameras? For this there is a website. Open your browser, you can come to a site called vfxcamdb.com. So if you come to this vfxcamdb.com site and if you press enter, now here you can see various cameras available here. Say for example I select this Arri Alexa 65 camera. This is the camera I want to add in Unreal. So I will just click on this, and if you scroll down you can see its width and height mentioned here. So I am going to select this width. I will press Ctrl C and copy it. I will come here and paste this. Similarly now I will come back here and select the width here. I will copy and come here and I will paste it. So now this camera is now actually simulating my Alexa Arri camera. You can come here and see that the aspect ratio of this is 2.115. So I have set my Cine Camera _ center camera as the Alexa camera. I am going to select the Cine Camera right now. I will come into the setting and choose Cine Camera right, and here you can see that the actual news readers here are blurred, they are not clear. So what I can do is I will come into the details here. In Cine Camera underscore right, I will scroll down and you have focus setting. I will open this. I can manually set the focus here by changing the distance. See, I can set it manually, or otherwise I can take this infiller and just click on this object here. You can immediately see this is now focused. So, once I have focused it, now this camera, I want this to be a Blackmagic camera. So, what I will do is, I will come into the setup here and now I will select Blackmagic, and in Blackmagic say I will take this camera only, Mini Pro 4.6K G2, and I am going to take its width here. I will copy this, come here and I will come here and I will paste this, and then I will come back here and I will take the width and I will copy it and I am going to paste this. Okay, so now I have my Blackmagic camera set as Cine Camera underscore right. See, both these cameras, if you scroll down, I have set its focal length to 35 mm. This is also 35 mm, and this other camera, that is Cine Camera Center, is also set to 35 mm. Here you are having a wider view because our sensor size is larger. Now the next thing is, I have the Cine Camera left, and in this, see, in Cine Camera Center I have this current camera setting, but if I come to Cine Camera left, you doesn't see that setting at all here. So now I doesn't have the provision here to set its width and height. The only way I can control this is, if I scroll down in camera setting, I have projection mode, perspective and orthographic, and in field of view and aspect ratio I have only two options. So I will come over here and I will choose Cine Camera left now. For a 35 mm camera, the field of view should be 45 degree. I want a normal lens. So I am going to set its field of view to 45 degree. So we are going to discuss about what is this field of view in our next session. Here I cannot set my width and height. So you have an option where I can choose various options over here. Say I can choose say iPad 3 here and I get the view. So like this I can set it. But say for example, now for this view I will come into the view here and now I am going to use DJI. I will come to DJI camera and I am going to use the DJI Mavic Air camera, and in this case the sensor size is 6.17 mm into 3.47 mm, and since I doesn't have the provision to enter the sensor size directly, what I have to do is I will take a calculator and I am going to enter this width value 6.17 and I am going to divide it by 3.47 and equals, it is 1.778097. So this is actually the aspect ratio of this camera. So I will right click, I will copy it, I will come into my view and in the aspect ratio I am going to paste it. So if I press enter, this is mimicking my DJI Mavic Air camera. So now I have one DJI Mavic Air camera and I have one Blackmagic camera and I have one Ariflex camera. I will go to file and I will choose save all, and after that I am going to come here in window and I am going to come to viewports here and I will choose viewport 2. So when I select viewport 2, I get another viewport tagged here. See, I now have two viewports, and for the second viewport I will set its view to Cine Camera right. See, this camera is Cine Camera left, this camera is Cine Camera right. Then I will come to window and I will come to viewport and I will enable the third viewport. I will just drag and actually dock it here and I will slightly pull it up like this, okay, and in this view I will come here and I will change it to default viewport. Here in perspective, I am now going to use the camera Cine Camera left. Now one last thing is, I want to show you what if you are using an anamorphic camera. I will come back to VFX camera database, and here I will type anamorphic and I will click on search. Now you have this anamorphic workflow, and if I click on this link, if you scroll down, you can see what is the size of a camera which is an anamorphic camera. So here you can see there will be two sizes, one is the squeezed and another is the unsqueezed. Here this is the resolution and the actual sensor size is given here, physical FilmBack. There are two options here. So I am going to select this physical FilmBack option here. I will copy it. I will come back to Unreal. I will now select this right view and I will make it as the left view. Come here and choose this as the right view camera. So I have interchanged it. I will just collapse everything, then open this, and in camera I will select the camera Cine Camera underscore right camera, and if I scroll down, I will first set its screen width. I will paste it and set it to 21.936. Then I will come back to this site and I will copy the width value, come back here to Unreal, and I am going to paste this. So when I paste this, you can now see that this is a squeezed image. When we are using it in anamorphic mode, actually in anamorphic we will have one term which is known as the squeeze factor. This comes in the anamorphic lens. Say for example, if you see any of the anamorphic lens, see here, every anamorphic lens will have one value called as the squeeze value. It is mentioned as 1.55. Now coming into Unreal, you have one lens setting here. If I open the lens setting, if I scroll down, there is one squeeze factor. For normal lenses it will be set to 1, and since we have set this right camera to anamorphic camera, now I have to set this squeeze factor to 1.55 as this is my squeeze factor. So now you can see this is an anamorphic camera that we are going to use. We have simulated an anamorphic camera here, Ariflex camera here, and DJI Mavic Air 4 here. So come to File, choose Save All, and with this we conclude this session, and in our next session we are going to discuss about focal length and field of view.